Hello, and welcome to day 5 of our 10-minute Bible read. I hope you guys had a wonderful July 4th. And here we are. When we left off yesterday, the Lord said to himself, he will never again curse the ground because of human beings, even though the inclination of the human heart is evil from youth onward. And he would never strike down again every living thing as he done in the flood. Which I was like, you know what? This is why we have to get in the word. This is why we have to read the Bible. Because me, in my mind, I was like, the world is so evil. Why has he not drowned us again? And it's like, because in Genesis chapter 8, verse 21, he said he wouldn't. All right, so let's get started. Genesis chapter 9. God blessed Noah and his sons and said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. The fear and terror of you will be in every living creature on the earth, every bird of the sky, every creature that crawls on the ground, and all the fish of the sea. They are placed under your authority. Every creature that lives and moves will be food for you. As I gave the green plants, I have given you everything. However, you must not eat meat with its lifeblood in it. And I will require a penalty for your lifeblood. I will require it from any animal and from any human. If someone murders a fellow human, I will require that person's life. Whoever sheds blood, Whoever sheds human blood, by humans his blood will be shed. For God made humans in his image. But you be fruitful and multiply, spread out over the earth and multiply on it. Then God said to Noah and his sons with him, understand that I am establishing my covenant with you and your descendants after you, and with every living creature that is with you, birds, livestock, and all wildlife of the earth that are with you, all the animals of the earth that came out of the ark. I establish my covenant with you that never again will every creature be wiped out by floodwaters. There will never again be a flood to destroy the earth. And God said, this is the sign of the covenant that I am making between me and you and every living creature with you, a covenant for all future generations. I have placed my bow in the clouds, and it will be a sign of the covenant between me and the earth. I wonder if that's rainbows. Like rainbows, bows. Whenever I form clouds, let me see. Is the bow the Lord talking about in Genesis chapter 9 a rainbow? It is. So every time we see, okay. Genesis chapter 9, verse 13. I have placed my bow in the clouds, and it will be a sign of the covenant between me and the earth. Whenever I form clouds over the earth and the bow appears in the clouds, I will remember my covenant between me and you and all the living creatures. Water will never again become a flood to destroy every creature. The bow will be in the clouds, and I will look at it and remember the permanent covenant between God and all the living creatures on earth. God said to Noah, this is the sign of the covenant, and I have established between me and every creature on the earth. I think I do remember that from reading it the first time. I was like, oh, so every time we see rainbows, it's the Lord. Noah's sons who came out of the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Ham was the father of Canaan. These three were Noah's sons, and from them the whole earth was populated. So basically, everybody on the planet, just reading the Bible how it's written, is from Noah, and we all have this covenant with God that he'll never flood to destroy all of us. Okay. Noah, as a man of the soil, began by planting a vineyard. He drank some of the wine, became drunk, and uncovered himself inside his tent. This part coming up, I never really understood. Ham, the father of Canaan, saw his father naked and told his two brothers outside. Then Shem and Japheth took a cloak and placed it over both their shoulders, and walking backward, they covered their father's nakedness. Their faces were turned away, and they did not see their father naked. When Noah awoke from his drinking and learned what his youngest son had done to him, he said, "Canaan is cursed. He will be the lowest of slaves to his brothers." He also said, "Blessed be the Lord, the God of Shem. Let Canaan be Shem's slave. Let God extend Japheth. Let Japheth dwell in the tents of Shem. Let Canaan be Shem's slave." Now, Noah lived 300. That's kind of crazy. You out here drunk and naked, and I covered you up, and now I'm wrong? I don't get it. Why did Noah curse Canaan for covering him? All right. The curse function, this is Google. The curse functioned primarily as a prophecy regarding the future Canaanite nations rather than a personal punishment for the disrespect. The offense. Noah passed out drunk and naked in his tent. Ham saw his father's compromised state and instead of covering him went to tell his brothers, effectively mocking and exposing his father's shame. Okay, so Canaan must be Ham. Ham was the father of Canaan. Okay, I see that now. In contrast, Shem and Japheth respectfully walked backward and covered Noah with a garment without looking. Why Canaan was cursed? Okay, pronounced a prophecy that the future descendants of Canaan would become deeply wicked and idolatrous. This says generational character. The text specifies Ham, excuse me, father of Canaan, suggesting that Canaan either participated in the disrespect or had already inherited and exhibited his father's flawed character. The aftermath, the curse served to justify the future conquest of the Canaanites by the Israelites, descendants of Shem, as a judgment on the Canaanites' wickedness. I'm gonna read a little bit further because it seems so like I'm missing something. Noah, as a man of the soil, began by planting a vineyard. He drank some of the wine, became drunk, and uncovered himself inside his tent. Ham, the father of Canaan, saw his father naked and told his two brothers outside. He was naked inside his own tent. Okay, this is from paultrip.com. Noah, like Adam and Eve, has a terrible moral fall after God's blessing. As he's lying drunk and naked, Ham comes into his tent, and what he does next tells you everything about this man's heart. Rather than wanting to cover his father and not let this man be exposed to further dishonor and ridicule, he goes and gets his brothers to show him. He's rejoicing in this evil moment. He's having fun. This is like a teenage kid who's excitedly showing his friends a naked picture that came up on his phone. That's what Ham is doing. He's finding some kind of enjoyment, some kind of satisfaction in what God forbids. So it's important in this story to notice that the biblical author wants you to see very clearly the contrast between Ham's response and Shem and Japheth's response. Those two brothers, this is just amazing. They put a blanket on their shoulders and they back into their room. They back into the room until they get to their father, and they drop the blanket on him without looking because their heads are facing the other direction. That's pretty amazing. It's a response of knowing that what's going on is awful and dark and they don't want to be a part of it. They don't want to find joy in it. It's a response of honor and respect to this man who is their father, who also saved them in the ark. Ham's response was impure, dishonoring, disrespectful, and because it was not just a sin against his father, it was a sin against God. Okay. Why in the world is this dark story preserved for us? And believe this passage has been recorded and preserved for us because God loves us. He knows the temptations of the world we live in, and he's aware of our weakness and susceptibility. And in this story, we are lovingly warned that God takes sin seriously, and so should we. Ooh. Reading the Bible, it's like, hopefully y'all are enjoying me having to read it a little bit more slowly, because the things that I don't understand, I do want to take a moment to try to understand it more and see other people's perspective. Okay. But I mean, that, and another thing, that was such a small, I mean, this little passage is 18 until 23. Super small situation, but if you really look at the context, it's so much larger. It's like God sees that we are living in a world of sin, and he, even though it looked like a small thing, this small thing caused the entire line of Canaan to be cursed. Okay, Genesis chapter 9, verse 28. Now, Noah lived 350 years after the flood. He was already 600 years old at that time. So Noah's life lasted 950 years, then he died. Genesis chapter 10. These are the family records of Noah's sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. They also had sons after the flood. Japheth's sons, Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshech, and Tiras. Gomer's sons, Ashkenaz, Riphath, and Togarmah. And Javan's sons, Elisha, Tarshish, Kittim, and Dodanim. It sounds like Lord of the Rings. From these descendants, the peoples of the coasts and islands spread out into their lands according to their clans and their nations, each with its own language. Ham's sons, Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. Cush's sons, Seba, Havilah, Sabta, Rama, and Sabteca. And Rama's sons, Sheba and Dedan. Cush fathered Nimrod, who began to be powerful in the land. He was a powerful hunter in the sight of the Lord. That is why it is said, like Nimrod, a powerful hunter in the sight of the Lord. His kingdom started with Babylon, Erech, Akkad, and Calneh in the land of Shinar. From that land he went to Assyria and built Nineveh, Rehoboth-ir, Calah, and Rezin, between Nineveh and the great city Calah. Mizraim fathered the people of Lud, Anam, Lehab, Naphuth, Naphtha, Pathros, Casla, the Philistines came from them, and Captor. The Canaan fathered Sidon, his firstborn, and Heth, as well as Jebusites. I'm trying to see who Canaan came from. Okay, Canaan was Ham's son. All right. Canaan fathered Sidon, his firstborn, and Heth, as well as the Jebusites, the Amorites, and the Girgashites, the Hivites, the Archites, and the Sinites, the Arvadites, the Zemarites, and the Hamathites. Afterward, the Canaanite clans scattered. The Canaanite border went from Sidon, going toward Gerar as far as Gaza, and going toward Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, and Zeboim as far as Lasha. Ooh, weren't those all terrible places, Sodom and Gomorrah? Those two were destroyed. Okay. These are Ham's sons by their clans, according to the languages in their lands and their nations. And Shem, Japheth's older brother, also had sons. Shem was the father of all the sons of Eber. Shem's sons were Elam, Ashur, Arpachshad, Lud, and Aram. Aram's sons, Uz, Hul, Gether, and Mash. Oh, Mash. Arpachshad fathered Shelah, and Shelah fathered Eber. Eber had two sons. One was named Peleg, for during his days the earth was divided. His brother was named Joktan. We're at 17 minutes. I'm just going to finish this one so we get to 11. And Joktan fathered Almadad, Shelep, Hazar, Mavith, Jerah, Hadaram, Uzal, Dikla, Obal, Abimael, Sheba, Ophir, Havilah, and Jobab. All these were Joktan's sons. Their settlements extended from Misha to Sephar, the eastern hill country. These are Shem's sons by their clans, according to their languages and their land and their nations. These are the clans of Noah's sons, according to their family records. In their nations, the nations on earth spread out from these after the flood. And this has been the Lord's Word.